The internet is an absolutely wild, wild place because if you haven't noticed or haven't heard about it, this lady that became super famous because she said something about private parts, what she does with them, this lady right here.
My Hawk meme coin is live!
Could Hawk Tuah girl be in serious trouble? Scamming allegations are being aimed at Haley Welch after her crypto meme coin launch.
This is one of the most miserable, horrible launches I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, then why the f are you on?
The launch of the coin was questioned immediately. The fees for buying Hawk were 15% on top of the transaction cost, something that CoffeeZilla did not take kindly to.
You guys generated over $1 million in fees while y'all's fans got rug pulled.
After the coin surged on launch, it's alleged that tokens held by insiders of the project were sold within 15 minutes of that launch for millions and millions of dollars, crashing the price entirely and losing fans thousands.
This is the worst tokenomics I've ever seen, and it is a scam.
A meme coin, and I try not to talk too much about crypto here, but I know something about it. I actually know a lot about it because in 2017, I put an investment group together and I said, you know what would be great to do is if we take home titles and home loans and we put them on the blockchain. So if I put a house like this on the blockchain, that allows it to do fractional ownership, right? And then at one point we can sell them and distribute it and do all these kind of great things. And I've just ran into one big issue that in order to do all that, you need to file with the SEC. Now, why is that? Because if you do anything in the world and you want to do it the right way, there's procedures and laws that you need to abide by. And in the world of crypto, it's kind of the Wild West, and you just do it and you deal with the consequences later on, right? And so what we were facing is, hey, this is a security and this isn't the meme token, because we were going to take real monies. People put it in the blockchain and do all that kind of thing, and then just do it. And so I hired a lawyer, and she said, yours is a security. And there is a list that I have right here, what is considered a security. And most every token is considered a security because there's financial, there's hope, you sell them something. So this lady, Hawk Tuah, thought it was great to launch her meme coin. And she said, this is going to be the Hawk Tuah coin where you buy in and you just you become filthy rich or do whatever, and it allows you to do all these kind of things. And what happened was they pumped up the coin with advertising and influencers, and it reached a $500 million market cap in like no time. But what did the team do? They basically rug pulled everybody. And when you think about what a rug pull is basically they're pumping it up, and while they're pumping it, they're selling it. And so that you are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in, and I finally get to buy it. You are then basically buying at that price that they're selling, and they're just dumping all their coins on the market, making them worthless. So basically, they just defrauded you. And now we're going to see something that's going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be in the next year or in the next 6, 7, 8 months, what's going to happen. Because most likely, these people are going to be so upset that someone's going to hire a lawyer and starts investigating. One of the things that I'm always interested in is the process of when people invest in something, right? Because as you guys, you invest time in watching my videos, you invest in stocks, bonds, whatever, you invest into your car so it goes from point A to point B, even though it's not an asset, right? But you do something because you think it's an investment, right? And now you can say, oh, a car might not be an investment, it's a liability, right? But you get something that is a tangible good that you think has value, right? And so now, when you're this Hawk Tuah lady that is now Hawk Tuah, who's gonna face the consequences of her actions, is gonna be talking to a judge, right? Because when I was doing it in 17, and my lawyer was a former SEC prosecutor that I've hired to basically get the ball rolling and trying to do all that, but then I capped it and said, you know what, we're not gonna go forward with it, and we're just gonna squash the project. So what she told me is the SEC is very lenient with accredited investors. So if you're accredited investors, you see it right here on the screen. If you make 200,000, you have a huge net worth, and you can then make good financial decisions, right? So if you're an accredited investor, you kind of know what you're putting up, and you can do whatever, and you're like, we're not going to get anything, and we'll be done. And what the SEC, why there's rules in place, isn't because of people that are making 200 grand a year that do all that. No, there's rules in place for people that don't make enough and that are got sold the dream and that think that they can make more money, or they bet it's their dinner money, their lunch money, all their bills or their tax money to hopefully double it, and so that they can have some extra spare cash or something else. So the SEC does not want you to lose, if you don't have a lot, that you lose all that money so you can't pay taxes and you can't buy food and you can't do any of that. So they're very protective of these people, of the common folks, right? Even though you might not think so, but that's the intent that they're trying to do, right? And so now, when you lost $500 million, everybody made on her team that got rug pulled, made a shit ton of money, millions of dollars, and you basically defrauded everybody that was involved in the project, that thought that this project could go somewhere. And now you are going to have to talk to lawyers, because when you're going to talk to lawyers, they're going to tell you that this was not a good idea. Because just because you label something a meme coin doesn't mean that everybody's going to interpret it as that. And when you say words like investment or guaranteed return or something like this, just like Grant Cardone right here, where he says, you get a 15% guaranteed return, you got to back that up, because people will then invest their money and say, I need that 15% return, and that's how it's going to go. And if they're not going to get a 15% return, some lawyer that has a free 2 hours in their day is going to say, why don't we talk to 4 or 5 of these people and see if there's a commonality between all these 5 people, and if there is, we'll talk to another 100 and we get a class action lawsuit going, and we're gonna get them where it hurts, and it's gonna cost them big time. And so what they do is, these lawyers, they go out, they find these people, and then they're gonna say, hey, join this class action lawsuit. Who makes money? Obviously the lawyer. Who's it gonna cost the most amount of money? Grant Cardone, or now Hawk Tuah, if they're gonna get lawyers involved, because it's just gonna be expensive. It's gonna be so expensive. Because if you're that woman that was trying to do her $500 million coin, that is almost to zero now, is gonna face consequences in some form or another. And now, whenever I'm looking at, oh my goodness, she scammed her audience, I'm always like, okay, there's gonna be somebody that's gonna benefit. And whenever I say you did a rug pull or something else and you got money, there always needs to be, is it worth it, right? So if you made $100, $200, $300 million, was it worth your effort, right? Because lawyers cost a lot of money, and sometimes it's easier to defend the lawsuit and just say, okay, I made $100 million, I can put up $15 million in legal defense and make it go away, or I'll pay people out and I'll settle for pennies on the dollar, and I'm still ahead, right? That's one strategy. Not that I'd recommend that, because you ruin your brand also. That's why I've never promoted anything that I'm not really in control of. And whenever I say stuff like, hey, you should do this or should do that, you always have to think about, hey, what is this, right? Because when influencers like myself or Ali has 500,000 followers on TikTok, when FTX went belly up, before that, we got offers in the tens of thousands of dollars for her to promote FTX, right? And then that went belly up and people lost their money. And so they come after influencers, right? So what do you promote as an influencer? Products, tangible items that can be returned or anything else, right? Because if you promote investments, you lose your ass on it. And I get these all the time. Hey, can you make an ad for my crypto? Can you make an ad for this? Can you do this? And I never even respond, because it's not worth the time. So now this lady is in a whole bunch of hot water, because now her brand is damaged, right? Brand is damaged. You don't even know how far that went. Her her lawyers are probably like, oh my gosh. And just saying, oh, my team didn't know of, oh, I hired somebody and they did it and my team didn't take any of it, isn't going to make it any better because you lost all that money. So now, when you're like, oh, it's a meme coin, all this other stuff, it's just not going to work out because you've said in other videos, or it was an intent of people investing money. Just because you call it a meme doesn't mean that it's not. So you cannot walk into a bank and say, this is not a real pew pew, and but I still want your money. And then it's like, when the police comes and gets you, well, I labeled it as not a real thing, right? It just doesn't work out because they're gonna say, did it do this? Did it look like this? Does it talk like a duck? Does it walk like a duck? Must be a duck, right? So all these things will come together, and then you see him maybe shot in the streets, right? Wouldn't be the first person that just stole somebody's money that they thought, hey, I'm gonna do it. You get in depression, you lose your house, you lose your life savings. And I always tell people, never invest your life savings. But that doesn't mean that everybody does it because they watch it online, they think like, hey, this is it. That's why I tell people, don't invest in stuff you know nothing about. And that's why I haven't been investing into crypto, because if I would have just stuck with Bitcoin, because I thought I'm gonna make some money with these cryptocurrencies, with these ICOs, these coin offerings, went great for some time, but then I was too slow and just started to be not as interested anymore, so I kind of gave it up. But back to it. If you want to invest in something, just stick with the top three, right? Stick with the ones that you know are going to still be around in a little while. You can invest in smaller ones, but I always say just stick with that one. Bitcoin dominance and everything else is just crazy because I would have went better with just sticking with Bitcoin than with any other ones that I got. So what does this teach us, right? I'm always looking at it from a business perspective, from a business owner type of view, right? So from a business owner type of view, this woman has just ruined her reputation. And now when you're thinking about, oh, do I ever want to do something else again? They're probably not going to buy your merch. They're probably not going to buy your hats. They're probably not going to watch you. Or then if you do promote something else, they want to see you fail. And when your audience wants to see you fail and burn, that happens, and it's going to drive you nuts. Because once you ruin it with people, they most likely won't come back. And when I talk about you ruining with people, it's not like me making a video saying, this sucks. And then you're like, you know what? I'm done. You can come back from that, right? But if I cost you money, if I cost you where it really, really hurts, then there's a financial reason to not come back, right? And this is what I've been telling people all along. Your reputation is everything. That's why you network. That's why you need to have it nicely presented on resumes, LinkedIn, and all this other stuff. So your reputation doesn't get taunted, right? And that's why I did not go through with my project, because it was risky. I could have done it. I had the crypto done. I had everything else done. And so I was like, I could have pulled it off, right? But then I knew mine wasn't going to be a scam. But then that's what everybody else said. And at the time I was like, it's tricky. I wasn't worried about it being a scam. I was just worried about the consequences long-term from the government, because you do need a file with the Security and Exchange Commission, right? Because at one point people will understand it, and people will get used to it, and then there's going to be laws in place for that. And one thing I've learned of becoming a United States citizen is that the justice wheel is slow. It is very slow. They're back years. And when you look at, they're now starting to prosecute these PPP loan people, right? So now we're seeing all these fraudsters going to jail. And they're starting to say, hey, we're starting going after this, we're going after that. And there'll be a time where they're going to come after her and after other people that done that. And then you need a high enough net worth or other businesses that can make the money to defend that lawsuit, right? Because one question is always, that I always look at, is the juice worth the squeeze? So what I mean by that is, when I talk about is the juice worth the squeezes, am I going to get more out of it than I'm going to put into it? So in the IRS perspective, in the perspective of the government, it needs to be enough on there, on the bone, for them to go after you. So what I've read from the IRS and what I've heard from people on podcasts say is that the IRS is going after these middle class and upper people that have money but don't have enough money to defend themselves. So they can kind of bully you a little bit, and before you actually have big money to hire lawyers and do all that. Why don't they go after Elon Musk? Because they know that Elon Musk has enough money, best lawyers in the world, and that can prolong the hearings from here to infinity, right? And one thing that I'm always referencing is the town of Santa Cruz, where I lived in a trailer park. So when I married Allie, I lived in Santa Cruz. So I lived in this beautiful, beautiful Santa Cruz little beach town, trailer park community that I always reference as the town of Santa Cruz and my place of living. So Santa Cruz, the little trailer park that I lived in, was rent controlled. But now, after a little while, it got bought up by this Michigan company. And what happened was that Michigan company said, haha, rent control, you're funny, we're not gonna even follow the laws. So then, what happened? The city got into a lawsuit with this Michigan company, and this company flew their lawyers out on private jets. So whenever you have a company, a Michigan company, or any investment company that is going to fly lawyers out on private jets, you know that they got big pockets. So what did they do to the city? They buried them in paperwork. So the city was at one point saying, this is enough, you're burying us in paperwork, let's just settle. And they said, whoever's in this trailer park as of today has rent control. Whatever happens afterwards, you guys can do whatever. And so what I've learned from this lesson is that regardless of who you are, where you're at, you need to have the legal capabilities to fight anything. And then if you can prolong it long enough in the federal government or in the government situation, you can then figure out what's best for your interests, for your money, and everything else. Is that great? No, absolutely not. Do I think that they should have kept it to fighting? Yes. But every state, everybody has a limited budget for everything, right? What I mean by that is that if even Elon Musk, he might only have $800, $900, or $800 million every year to have fight legal cases. So there needs to be somebody with bigger pockets to fight him that it's going to be worth that money. And this is just me taking random numbers. So what am I saying is that this was kind of my take on this like little Hawk Tuah lady with the meme coins. Don't do it. You're going to get rug pulled. Save your money. Invest it into something that's way better, and only you know what to invest in. So please like and subscribe if you like videos like that. I do them all the time. So appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one.